Hi, my speech today is about white privilege and how it's a sudden epidemic. Every single person in this room here today is a part of white privilege. That means you, 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 and that means me. Everyone. Controversial, I know. Now, you may be mistaking me for blaming you for white privilege. This is not the case. In fact, I think as a society, white privilege is often pushed upon us. So no, it's not your fault. It's society who is at fault. Now, many of you here today may not quite understand what white privilege is. Well, white privilege is the act of a particular group of people, in this case, the Caucasian variety, having an advantage, right, or circumstance above another group of people. Now, many of you in this room may not quite identify with white privilege, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Privilege is a real thing, and us as humans are often blind to the things directly in front of us. So I don't blame you for not seeing it. Say, for example, I'm a fish, and I'm swimming in the ocean, and I've got my little buddy fish, his name's Roger, and we're just swimming. And there's this big fish. He swims past us. He's wise, he's old, he's seen it all, he's swum the 7 seas. And he says to us, he goes, "How's the water?" And me and my little buddy, Roger, we keep swimming, and he turns to me and he goes, "What's water?" Water is white privilege. It's all around us, but yet we're so blind to it. And this needs to change. So I see a lot of confused faces in the audience still. You may not quite understand what white privilege is, as, you know, it's hard to identify with. As, if you don't mind me saying, a lot of the people in this audience today are on the positive side of white privilege. So it's quite hard to identify with, as you haven't been on the other side of the stick. So let me give you a day-to-day example. I walk into a shop, and I'll go to the candy bar section, I'll grab a candy bar, and I'll walk past the door, and I put it on the counter, and I pay, and I walk out and I leave. Same situation, but imagine this time I'm African American. So I walk into the shop, I grab a candy bar, and as I'm walking past the door, I look up at the cashier, and maybe he's looking up at the security camera, or maybe he's got his hand under the desk on the security button. But nothing happens. I walk up to the counter and I put the candy bar on the desk, and I pay, and I walk out and I leave, and I drive away. That is white privilege. The fact that they have to deal with that and I don't. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is wrong. So you may wonder, how can I have the right to talk about white privilege, as obviously I'm on the beneficial side of white privilege. And you're right. However, in the town I grew up in England, there was a hugely diverse population, mainly consisting of second-generation Indian people, Pakistani people, and sub-Saharan African people. There was a lot of integration, however, there was still parts of the town which were dedicated to one ethnic group. This meant that within my school and within my close group of friends, there was a lot of people with darker colour skin than my own. This was not a problem. I had these friends since I was 10 years old. However, as a result of British pop culture and what is portrayed in the media, I was treated slightly differently to the rest of the people in my group because, in my town, it was not regarded cool to be white. These slight differences in the way I interact with my friends did not really bother me. I saw them, I understood them. However, they shouldn't really exist on either end of the spectrum. Now, I saw these differences and I didn't have a problem with that. But there is a solution. Integration of culture to create understanding. We, as a society, are often afraid of clashing cultures because we don't understand what we don't know. And that is the problem behind white privilege, understanding. However, there is a solution that can be reached in the short term, not in the short term, in the long term. And we have to work as people to get there. I think as humans, we've been sleeping on the matter of white privilege, walking as if nothing's happening. And now, here today, in this room, I invite you to run. Because this is a topic that we can't ignore anymore. It's a topic that needs to be addressed now rather than later. And my solution is very simple. It doesn't require a lot of effort. My solution is, as a society, we need years and years of heavy integration between cultures, different ethnic groups, within our towns, cities, and countries. This will give every single person understanding of other people's culture. Because I don't believe this, that if everyone in this world is educated on different people's cultures and those who live around them, there can't be racism. Because you can't be an educated person and still have a racial view. It's impossible. However, we're only human. We can't fight the effects of evolution over thousands of years in just a short time. It's impossible. So my solution might have to take the place over 200 years. As of 1976, racism was still legal. That's 50 years. 50 years as a society, we've been fighting the racial hierarchy of the white man on top of the racial pyramid. And I can say now with confidence that we have been successful. However, there is still a long way to go. And we need to take the first step now. I believe that if we work together as one, as a human race, like it should be, instead of these fragmentized categories that we call race, we can achieve anything. And that includes defeating white privilege and other more spoken upon matters like racism, which is in essence what white privilege is. However, with white privilege, you can't say it's your fault, because whose fault is it? Ours. And I think if we do work together as one, we can defeat these problems. And that, ladies and gentlemen, would be a very happy world indeed. Thank you.